right, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the recap. Michael D'Angelo, joined by my partner in crime, Mr. Big D, Daryl Ortiz, coming off of Royal Rumble weekend, which Royal Rumble is my favorite PLE
Same.
of the year.
Yeah, hands down.
Had some good stuff, had some not so good stuff. We'll call it that. We'll dive in, but this one's always a fun one, and only 4 matches, Big D, to talk about.
Yeah. I mean, I could just because I feel like the length of the Rumble itself, now you have 2 Rumbles. I think before we'd get more matches, but now obviously you have the men and the women's matches.
Yeah.
I will note no women's title defenses in the Rumble, which was interesting. We only had the tag titles and the Universal title defended for the men, but that was it.
And
interesting.
Am I getting senile? I'm going to say this too. I thought like the Intercontinental Champion and the U.S. Champions were never a part of the Rumble matches. That's why I was thinking about it going, did I just miss this? Because
that changed. That was around COVID. I think it's because they ran out of people. They started doing it. And I think they just started. But see, I guess like to your point, what I don't care for when they put in an Intercontinental or U.S. champion, men or women, you know they're not going to win because they're holding their own title. So you know they're just in there just to take a spot.
I don't remember it from last year. I don't remember any of the other championships being represented. I don't know. I have to go back and look. I don't because this was for some reason it caught me off guard where I was like, really? Like we're having the IC champion and the US champions in here?
I think we always had one or the other. I don't think we ever had both. I have to double check.
But we had both. But I get it from the women's side because it was like we need to get 30 competitors.
We had tag champs too before.
Yeah, like it for some reason I don't know why it felt new to me, but nevertheless, we did start off with the women's Royal Rumble. So Charlotte Flair, spoiler alert,
as we said,
winner. As we said, I was like, that was the one we got right. We got the men's Rumble pretty wrong, but
yeah, almost right. I was almost right.
You were almost right. I was totally wrong. Women's Rumble though, it was pretty obvious Charlotte was going to be the winner, and I think this is where I kind of struggled with it because it did feel so telegraphed by the time we got to the end. I was like, there was no suspense. I didn't think there was going to be an upset. Probably my favorite moments from the women's Rumble, and I did prefer the men's Rumble over the women's Rumble. There was more drama in the men's Rumble, but obviously Alexa Bliss, I got right. I said she was coming back, and she was.
I said that too. I was excited to see her back.
Super excited.
I started feeling the little choke up here when she turned around in the back of her jacket. If I'm not mistaken, I think it said "Brave Forever."
Yeah,
and I thought that was an amazing thing. I love that she came out in that gimmick. You know, her Firefly Funhouse gimmick. I'm glad
that was,
and hopefully that means that now that she's back, she's with the Wyatt Six and they all unite together. That would be great.
That's what I was kind of curious as when she came out, I was like, how's she going to come out and present herself? And when she went with the Firefly Funhouse one, I was like, that's neat. And it was like, did they just segue into her joining the Wyatt Six now? I don't know.
Or maybe she never left because they went to the Firefly Funhouse. Maybe now she's never left technically.
Yeah.
Well, so I don't know what that I don't know what that thing was the last time when she had stuff coming out of her mouth and Bray Wyatt was the Fiend and was in the. I don't know, but I don't know what that would have meant because we never got to find out, unfortunately. But I'm happy that she's back. She looked great in the ring. She did really, really well. She had to miss a step.
Yeah, she looked really, really good, and I was surprised. I was a little disappointed. Her elimination got booed. Like there were 2 eliminations that got booed, which was Alexa's and then Trish Stratus's elimination got booed.
Yeah,
which Trish Stratus, surprise entrant, was not one that I thought was going to be in there. Trish looked good too. I mean, she looked very fit.
She came out in her, what was it, the TNA gear?
Yeah, the TNA gear with the cowboy
Test and Albert. Yeah, Test and Albert. That was a cool little nod. I like that. I like when my wrestling has little Easter eggs from my past memories in there. So I thoroughly enjoyed that. That was great.
And as a younger man, I was thoroughly in love with Trish Stratus. So seeing that brought back all sorts of memories. So
speaking of, AJ Lee didn't show up. I was disappointed.
I know.
That's why I didn't like the women's Rumble. No, I'm just kidding. I'm not.
I was waiting at number 30 where it was like Nikki Bella, and I was like, ugh.
You know what I told my wife when that happened? Like her music hit, and like I was like, "You remember that movie Big Daddy when Adam Sandler goes in and they say surprise?" I'm like, "Oh, we wasted the big surprise on you." That's how I felt. That's exactly how I felt.
It was. Gosh, like I think they played it off to be like, "This is incredible. She's amazing," and I was like, "Oh, like of all the people to be the big surprise."
After that nasty divorce, she needs the money. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, I was like, wasn't wild about that. We got Jordynne Grace again, which I knew we would.
But it was funny. Jordynne Grace actually had put out a post that she wasn't going to be in town because she had to go do her mom's birthday, and she had put like a picture of a plane ticket, of course, with like the name and info plotted out. But I was like, that's what somebody would do if they were going to be in the Rumble. But did you catch the commentary little slide there where Michael Cole was like, she's now officially a member of the WWE roster. So it looks like her contract ended with TNA and now she like got poached.
Well, yeah, like her contract ended because she dropped the title before she left, and she did the big farewell thing with TNA. And it was like last year she was here as a member of TNA. Now she's a member of the full-fledged WWE roster, and it was like, okay, cool, which is great. I love Jordynne Grace, and she was exciting for the time that she was in there. She really was. She spent less time in the Rumble, I felt like, this year than she did the previous year, like less impactful. Like last year, it was like she was just running over everybody. This year was a little bit more evenly matched. She's still great, and I'm super stoked for her to be part of it.
She lifted Nia though.
Yeah. Well, yeah,
that was great to see.
Yeah, she got Nia up on her shoulders, and she's phenomenal. She should give it a shot in the arm to the women's division. No Becky Lynch either. No Asuka.
No, so I was surprised. No Becky Lynch. Asuka, I'm not sure what's going on with her.
I wasn't sure if she recovered yet. That was why I wasn't positive.
But Becky should be coming back soon, I think. I thought for sure 30. I thought like once they got to like 25.
I thought it was going to be Becky at 30.
Yeah, 30 I thought was going to be Becky because there was like a long pause, and I was like, oh, that would have been cool for Becky to come back out. Yeah. But I was a little bummed out because we know she's coming back. Like I've said it before. You look at the Netflix promo, she's in it. Like the Raw Netflix promo, she's in it. So I'm like, guys, we know she's in there. I think they're trying to make us forget about that. But I enjoyed it. There's some cool spots too. You had Liv Morgan kind of running roughshod with Raquel on by her side, and they were kind of working really well together. You had Roxanne Perez; she did really good. Roxanne Perez, did really good.
She was the runner-up, right? It was her and Charlotte at the end, and which I thought was good, but there's never any doubt that Charlotte was going to win. Which was a bit of a bummer for me because I'm like, you and I have talked about this before. Of hey, give some of the newer talent an opportunity here. So for her immediately return, immediately win the Rumble. And she's going to be at WrestleMania in a women's title match, whichever she chooses. I was like, she doesn't need the shot in the arm. She's Charlotte Flair already.
Yeah, but I mean, yeah. But and I'm going to correct myself. She actually, Jordynne Grace lifted Piper Niven.
Piper Niven, yeah.
It wasn't Nia. My bad. Nia came out late, so it was Piper.
Yeah, she was number 29. She was like the second to last to come out.
Yeah, so that was my bad.
I was surprised too because most of the folks were in. There were still a lot of women left in the ring at 29.
Yeah,
and they kind of held it off so that Nia could do some ring clearing, which I get.
You can kind of see it coming because they're all stacking up on the ring apron, like one by one, stacking up. My wife actually said it. She was like, "Oh, Nia's going to eliminate him," and sure enough, here comes Nia just running to him and taking them all out. But back to Roxanne Perez, I like that they gave her the light that they did. So they did two things. They extended her feud with Bayley because she was the one that eliminated Bayley, if I'm not mistaken. And then she broke Bayley. No, she didn't eliminate Bayley, did she?
I thought she did.
I can't remember if she did or didn't, but she did. But she broke Bayley's Rumble record because they were hyping up that Bayley had the longest run in the Rumble. And she broke Bayley's record. So again, just furthering that feud. So they gave her some shine. They showed her as a formidable foe. They showed that she can go the distance, and she broke Bayley's record. So now she can go toe-to-toe with Bayley again. So I'm excited to see that happen. I know she dropped the title, the NXT title, women's title, I mean, and I think that's going to be her next step into the roster. She's going to go against Bayley, and she's going to have that should be a nice feud to see. Because those that don't know Roxanne Perez, she's trained by Booker T. And he speaks very highly of her in his podcast and everywhere else. And I'm excited to see what they do with her. So good on her for getting that light. You know, I really enjoyed seeing that. So it's refreshing. And like Triple H's like first Rumble, right? That he's putting over the younger guys over the older guys. And I'm liking that a lot. Yeah. And that trend continues. We'll talk about that later. But yeah, I like that.
I mean, the younger folks got put over, but the Ultimate Classic got put over in Charlotte Flair winning the Women's Rumble.
Yeah, no, that part, yeah.
Yeah, that part. But everybody had an opportunity to shine, so that was good. So yeah, that's Women's Rumble. Right after this, I don't want to spend too much time on this one, was the tag match that just felt a little inconsequential, which is
it kind of did.
Yeah, Motor City Machine Guns versus DIY.
The 2 out of 3 falls.
Winning the 2 out of 3 falls. The end of this, like, I did not like at all. And I'm going to tell you why I didn't like it. Because it essentially ended with the Street Profits came out kind of in partial disguise, but not really. Where they came out and then they attacked the Motor City Machine Guns, helped DIY win, and then attacked DIY. And then it was like, what the? Because at first I was like, what, are they doing like a heel turn? They're going to help them?
Yeah.
And it's like, no, and they attacked them. And then you had Michael Cole have to try to explain it. to everybody. Because he's like, hold on. I think I understand what's happening here. Like, audience, I know this doesn't make any sense, but let me try to explain it to you. What I think happened here is that the Street Profits know that DIY attacked them backstage, so they wanted to make sure that they won because they wanted to beat them to take the titles off of them as revenge. And I was like, well, that's kind of stupid and convoluted. Yeah. And the fact that Michael Cole had to throw this very complicated setup of here's why I think they did it this way. I'm like, well, that's still kind of dumb and doesn't make sense why they would do that to them. But okay. And so I because the end felt so forced, where they were trying to kind of ram this concept down everyone's throat and say, no, it's not that the Street Profits are heels or anything. It's just that they wanted to make sure that they could beat the heels for the titles, so they had to attack and cost Motor City Machine Guns. Was stupid. I didn't like it, but that's how I felt about it. But anyways.
So I agree with you in the sense that it makes no sense.
Yeah, it made no sense.
They are heels because they've been turning for a while, and they came out in all black, ski masked up, ready to attack. Yeah. So heel tactic. If they were faces, they'd come out and they'd come out in their gear. We know that that's just how it goes. My thought on storylines is that if you have to take time out of commentary to explain the storyline to the audience, it's too complicated. It's too complex. It's too interwoven. If you can't tell that story, let me rephrase that, because we aren't stupid as wrestling fans. We understand how these things work. So you don't have to explain it to us. It's not our fault. You've done a piss poor job in putting the story together to where the dots can't be connected through the actions. That's kind of where I stand on that. Street Profits, I've always liked, I've always enjoyed. I would prefer that they'd be heel at this point, because they've just been babyface for too long.
Yeah,
I'd rather them be heel.
It's time for them to do a turn. Totally. Yeah.
And I would say, the interference really wasn't needed, other than just to protect Motor City Machine Guns in defeat. That's really the only reason for it, because they weren't going to drop the titles, and so DIY wasn't going to drop the titles, which is a shame, because I mean, honestly, like, Motor City Machine Guns are an amazing duo. I mean, you see them, their movesets, their tag work, it's extremely clean and fluid, and it's just so much better. And don't get me wrong, not a knock on Ciampa and Gargano. I mean, they're great as well. So it was, totally great match, but I feel like it just wasn't necessary. I feel like maybe let DIY win and then attack them afterwards as heels. But they don't want to have heel versus heel. But I mean, it is what it is at this point.
It is what it is. And when you make a good point of it's the age old adage about storytelling, it's show, don't tell. It's like, just show it. Show things happen. Don't overly explain it. To your point, if you have to go through this very convoluted explanation, you didn't do a good job of setting up the story where it's just obvious, or it makes sense and people can connect the dots on their own. Because when I saw it, I was just like, oh, that seems confusing. I guess they're heels. Like, that's all I thought. I was like, I guess.
Yeah, I was like, oh, they turned. Okay, so they're going to team up with Gargano and Ciampa. And then they attacked them too. I'm like, all right, never mind.
It's like, okay. And then Michael Cole's like, wait, hold on a second. Looking down at his notepad. Let me explain what happened here. And it was like, okay, that's much. And I get also, I think the positioning of the match itself was good. Of course it was entertaining, because these teams are really good. It suffers a little bit from, you've got the spectacle of the Rumble matches, so it's almost like a palate cleansing match that happens, where it's like, we need this palate cleanser that's gonna kind of take off all the energy that happened from this match. So it's a tough spot to be in. I just felt like the ending was kind of messed up, and they had an opportunity there to make it make a little more sense and not be so confusing and convoluted. But it was what it was.
You know what wasn't confusing and convoluted? All them damn ladders breaking in the championship match.
which was next. So I'm curious about your thoughts overall on this one.
So as a ladder match, a little bit. As a ladder match, I enjoyed it.
Okay.
I liked the ladder match. I liked the brutality of it, Wade Barrett needs to chill sometimes, because I think he didn't know what to do with himself, because again, 3-man booth. I've never been a fan of 3-man booth.
Same here. As soon as we were like, no, we're doing Pat McAfee and Wade Barrett and Cole, I was like, oh,
you can't have two going off flying off the handle and one keeping them centered.
And McAfee's already going to be up in the stratosphere, so it's like,
because they're in his hometown, well, not his hometown, but his city in the sense, because that's
hometown.
Yeah,
they
always call it that. Because he's from Pittsburgh, but anyways, calling that little ladder, what was it? They got the mini ladder, and he was like, it's, what did he call it? Anyways,
but I was a little
that little ladder's a menace. Yeah, he was like, that little ladder's a menace.
Tiny ladder spots were a little silly for me. That's where I was like, they kept going back to the tiny ladder, and that was a little silly for me.
Yeah, it took away a little bit, but where I feel was a wasted opportunity. And get me wrong, I like the match. I feel it was good. It was a little too obvious that Cody was going to win, and it goes back to like, you know, the face is getting his ass handed to him early on. He's going to win. Why? Because he's going to come back. He's going to somehow find a way to overcome and succeed. I would have much rather if this would have been a more back and forth chess match. Personally, this started out as a brawl, so it was exciting because they started going around the arena a little bit, but at least that little area around the floor seats. But I felt the wasted opportunity was with Sami Zayn. I feel that seeing Sami Zayn come out to check on Kevin, he checked on Kevin first, and then he went to go. He like looked up at Cody. Sami should have interfered. This should have been Sami turning heel and the reuniting of the best friends of Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. I really do feel that that's what should have happened. Because why? Because you have there's a PLE coming up in Canada. I forgot which one. It's in Quebec. But anyways, that would have been the perfect way to build the hometown reuniting of the two best friends, Kevin and Sami, against Cody and possibly Dusty if Dustin Goldust, if his contract is already up with AEW, which I think it might be. So I think that would have been a good opportunity there. But that's just me fantasy booking. But I still feel that Sami should have turned at this point and helped Kevin Owens. Maybe not win, because I know they don't want to drop the title. I mean, I wouldn't have been upset. I think this would have been a good way for Cody to have a downward spiral and eventually kind of turn heel a few months down the road, or maybe a year down the road. I think that this should have been a better opportunity for Sami to turn heel finally, and it didn't happen. I think they were on the fence.
He didn't really do anything. That's why
he just stood there.
He stood there, and then when Kevin Owens got Alabama slammed through the ladder,
that was nasty.
And it looked bad. And that's where I was like, I think this for me, gosh, I didn't super enjoy it as a ladder match, just because I felt like it turned more into just people getting bumped onto ladders for most of it. And I was like, there wasn't a lot of like cool ladder spots, in as much as like, you know, here's the fisherman buster onto a ladder, which looked horribly painful. They're both hurt. Here's Alabama slam onto a ladder. Like there was a lot of back bumps on the ladders the whole time, to where it almost had this like deathmatch feel to it of just watching people get hurt the whole time. And I've gotten a little old for that, where I was just like, oh guys, like that's where there wasn't any spectacular spots. There were just spots that looked like they hurt a lot and sucked to take. But it was like, I can, you know, anybody can just get thrown on top of a ladder. So that's where I struggled with that. And then the non-interference from Sami Zayn was like, what is he doing here? Is he going to do something? He didn't do anything, which maybe they'll pay that off later, and they'll be like, he'll turn, or he'll
but it's not going to be as impactful as if he would have done it right then and there.
It should have just
like that was your spot. That was your opportunity to do it. And then because then
he didn't really hit he just hit the Alabama slam and then just went and got the titles, and that was it. Like I was even a little surprised by the end, where I was like,
I don't know if Kevin just sold the hell out of it or he legit got hurt.
Yeah.
But they just kept going like nothing. Like they just, you know, Cody just like walked in, they crawled into, maybe he got hurt. I don't know.
I'm wondering if he did, because his head was busted open.
Yeah.
Like, they were showing him. And that's where I was like, was it supposed to end there? Because he kind of slowly got the ladder and just kind of slowly got up the ladder. And then there wasn't like a lot. It was just like unhooked one, and then kind of took his time unhooking the second one. And I was like, oh, it's over. Like I was like, was he going to pop up and do something? So the whole thing kind of ended oddly. And then it was just like,
he just sold it.
Yeah, it was just Cody standing on top of the ladder, like looking down on him and yelling. And then he goes and stands over him on top of the announcer, which I was like, are they going to heel turn Cody here? Like, now you're being too brutal. You slam this guy through the ladder, and now you're standing over him.
But see, that's why I feel like that's where Sami's interference would have been impactful and let him drop the title. I love Cody Rhodes. I like Cody Rhodes. As my youngest son loves him. Every time the song comes on, he wants to. That's cool. But I feel like you're going to John Cena Cody Rhodes. And like one of John Cena's things, I think they've always asked him is like, do you regret never turning heel? And he had a great career. You can have a great career without turning heel, but I feel like you'll have the crowd
heel too. That was the funny thing. Like he was the ultimate Doctor of Thugonomics heel,
but he just got over.
And then he got over with everybody and never looked back. He never looked back. And there were times where, and even Bray alluded to that in the kind of the This Is Your Life WrestleMania Fireflies Funhouse, where it was like, hey, you missed an opportunity to kind of do what Hulk Hogan did and remake yourself as a heel later on in your career. which I think there's truth to that. There's absolutely truth to that. And he's obviously not going to do it on the retirement run here.
No, of course not. He's going to face the whole way through. But I think back to Cody, I think that this is why I feel like he should have made that turn, because I feel that there's a lot left in Cody's tank, obviously, right? But totally. I feel like as far as a face, I feel it's almost run its course as a face. And I think if he turns as a heel, he can keep the momentum going. Kind of like how Roman did. Roman was a face until we got sick of him. And look what happened.
People wanted him to be gone, and people.
And he was getting booed heavily.
He was getting booed all the time. The Rock couldn't get him over because The Rock
nobody could,
his hand, and everybody was booing him. And they finally embraced it and said, "Let's make him a heel." And he's gotten over as a heel.
Yeah, I feel he's more over as a heel than he's ever been as a face.
Yeah, well, and now he's a face right now, but he's still a heel. He still acts heelish. He's like, he doesn't treat people right, and he's completely self-absorbed. He just now is being cheered for, so he's totally got himself over. But I do think Cody needs to go down that path, and I was hoping they were going to do that here, where it was like, let's start laying the foundation for Kevin's pushing him to act this way and to do things that he wouldn't normally do. And he's fed up and he's tired of all the griping. He's got this edge to him. And, having him brutalize him and then stand over him and really do like a full heel turn, I thought would have been cool, but he just didn't. It was okay. We'll see what happens on SmackDown, I guess. We'll see what happens this week.
I mean,
if they build off of it.
I mean, I don't know what's going to happen. I don't think Kevin's going to show up because he's going to sell the injury. So I think it'll be Sami Zayn talking on behalf of Kevin Owens, but we'll see. I'm curious to see where this goes. I'm curious to see what's next for Cody. I want to see what happens, and hopefully it's part of a bigger, broader picture. I don't know, but we'll see.
Yeah.
But
and then after this, I mean, we got my match of the night, which I'm sure was your match of the night,
which
was the Men's Rumble.
Yeah.
I mean, there's lots of things to talk about here, but first off, I'm going to say it. Penta's feet touched the ground.
They did. And he messed up.
He totally messed up. And I was like, as soon as I saw it, I was like, oh, crap. And
the camera quickly shifted over.
Well, this is where it was like Wade Barrett was like, I saw only 1 foot touch the ground. And he's like, and I'm thinking, we're not getting a replay. They're not like if it really was 1 foot, they would have just shown it on a replay.
Yeah.
They didn't go back to it. I rewound it a bunch of times and I was like, oh man, he totally touched. And it was early because it was him and Ray starting off.
Which was the beginning. Yeah.
Very beginning of the match. And he got eliminated and it was like, oh man. So like another little misstep at this point from Penta, but
he's not used to this level of speed, I guess.
Yeah, it was just like that was a little crushing for me. But I'll call it, this is the tale of two halves. Like the first half of the Rumble was all mostly mid-card guys because and they you could tell it was like mid-card. And then as soon as Roman came in at 16, and it's like all the big stars came in at the end.
Yeah.
So like they had it very much structured for let everyone have their opportunity. I have no idea who IShow Speed is, but he stole Tozawa's spot, which I wasn't happy with that either.
That was kind of odd the way they did it. He just happened to be back there, and they were like, I knew it was going to happen. You saw
him in the crowd at the very beginning, so I'm like, wait a minute, he went from being a spectator in the crowd to hanging out backstage during the Rumble. Like that was odd, and I have no idea who he is. Apparently, he's like the most famous YouTuber in the world, or something like, or famous social media person in the world.
Yeah,
I think they put on there like he's like the most, and I was like, is he? Okay, I don't know who.
I think he's buddies with Logan Paul. I think that's why.
That's probably why. But so he replaced Tozawa early on.
We got an appearance from the TNA champ himself because you said his name.
And you know what's funny? I was walking my dogs with we had the kids in the stroller, like a Saturday afternoon before the Rumble started, and I was like, I told her, I'm not lying. I said, I think he's going to come out at number 15. I think it's going to be right in the middle. Number 15, we're going to get Joe Hendry. And then as soon as I was like, oh, this is number 15. And then it say his name. And I was like, yes. But I was just so bummed that he wasn't in the Rumble. And it was right after that when Roman came out. And so if you're going to get thrown out by somebody, Roman Reigns is not a bad person to get eliminated by in the Royal Rumble, which
he got tossed out by Jacob.
Oh, I thought he got thrown out by Roman. He didn't get thrown out by Roman? I thought
it was Jacob. Yeah.
Was it Jacob? Oh, I thought it was Roman. Oh, well.
Because Jacob ran roughshod. Jacob, honestly, this was for Jacob Fatu, I think this was like his crowning moment as well.
Yeah, he looked great in this one, and they had built him up.
But Joe Hendry looked amazing. Like all of his moves. And
ovation.
Here's what cracked me up about it, and I loved it, is that the crowd lost it for him, which was awesome. Sheamus was sitting in the corner just smiling, enjoying everything. And then Kaiser breaks it up, and then he gets mad at Kaiser like, hey, I was enjoying that. Was it Finn or Kaiser? One of the two. And he started getting mad at him because he was enjoying watching Joe Hendry. So I don't know, little things like that I thought were great. But Joe Hendry looked awesome. He looked great in there, and it was so cool. It was so cool to see him.
Yeah, I mean he and it was so the back half of it. You had, I guess, as far as surprises go, AJ Styles. Like I didn't
returning.
I don't think we really. I didn't mention him or call that he got pyro, so he did get like the big pyro entrance, and he looked great. So the back half it was like Roman Reigns, Drew McIntyre, Finn Balor, Shinsuke Nakamura,
Braun Strowman,
AJ Styles, Braun Strowman, John Cena at 23, CM Punk 24, Seth Rollins 25. Then you had Dominic Mysterio. I was like,
that was funny. I was like, what the hell? But it worked. It worked. I enjoyed it. I liked it.
Yeah. Well, it was because I was like, which one of these people doesn't belong? And then it was like Dominic. And then it was Sami Zayn after that, which also, at least he didn't come out at 30 this time. Came out at 27. Damian Priest at 28. LA Knight on his first Royal Rumble actual match at 29. And then Logan Paul at 30.
That was... I forgot he was going to be there.
I forgot he was going to be in. That's why I was like, who's number 30? And I was like, oh, yeah, that's right. They advertised him for this. So it was like, ugh.
But then I'm like, of course. Okay, so this is my gripe with him. And I'm like, of course he would be number 30. Mr. I'm going to be in this full time and I'm going to commit to this. And doesn't show up for any shows.
Yeah.
And then decides to be the last one in the Rumble. So he can... Rumble. Yeah. I'm like, nah, bro.
And he was the final three.
Of course he was.
Which I was
him,
like,
John Cena, and Jey Uso.
Cena, and Jey Uso were. So this is where obviously you and I were both wrong. You were almost right because John Cena.
But I said John Cena.
I kept contesting that John Cena was not going to win here because he's going to be in Elimination Chamber. So that as we progressed through it, I still was feeling that way. I thought they did a really great job of you've got all these heavy hitters that were all in the ring at the end. And so they're kind of all eliminating each other. So it made it more feasible for somebody like, spoiler alert, Jey Uso to win. And when it got down to those final three, the first thought was, oh man, there's a 2/3 chance that a part-timer is going to win this.
I told my wife, I said, I swear to God, I'm going to throw my phone at this TV if Logan Paul wins.
Yeah, I was like, please, for the love of God, don't let it be Logan Paul. No. And so the final two, as soon as it was John Cena and Jey Uso, I was like, okay, it's going to be Jey. And I'm like, and that's good. And it was, and I like the drama.
Well deserved.
They're both out on the apron, and they're going back and forth. And finally, Jey gets the better of John, knocks him off of the apron. And this was a good passing of the torch moment, because what I worried about this was when you had the farewell tour. I didn't want it to all be about John Cena. It's like part of that should be you do traditionally is you go out on your back, you're looking up at the lights, and you're putting over the younger talent. So this was an opportunity for him to do that for Jey. It's Jey's time. He has so much popularity right now. He's really worked for it. This, now he's gonna have a headline at WrestleMania for the title of his choosing. We'll see. I'm assuming he's going to go after the world champion and go after Gunther again versus trying to go after Cody Rhodes. We'll see. We'll see how they do this storytelling. And I think that leaves it open for John Cena to challenge Cody Rhodes if he wins Elimination Chamber. But we'll see. We'll see how they play this. But the more that I thought about it, the more I was like, man, this really was the right call. And this was a good way to do it. And you still had the storylines with, CM Punk, eliminated Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins.
And because they were teetering. They were teetering because they were going at it.
And he ran and knocked them both over.
Yeah, and then Logan Paul threw CM Punk over. And then you had the extracurriculars with Seth hitting the stomp on Roman on the outside on the steps. So it's like they just kept branching off into here's the. Although I did go ahead, so I'll let you finish.
No, go ahead. No, all I was saying was like I liked the way that they approached this, where everything was feasible. Nobody looked weak or like a chump, and they managed to have all these moving parts work together to where you ended up with Jey winning at the end, and it didn't seem contrived, and it didn't seem like it was a stretch at all. It was like, okay, this actually makes sense, and this is the right thing. I'll stop there.
Yeah, no, but he outsmarted John. Like he outsmarted him, and because John Cena was going to hit the AA on the apron, and quick thinking, grabbed the rope, fell over, and just kicked him over because John Cena was already on the other side of the apron. So that was, and even John landed, and he was like, oh, like the face he made, he was like, like I fell for that, and but the fact that he went back in the ring to officially put him over, and congratulate him. You could see Jey telling him thank you because John Cena didn't have to do that.
Oh, of course not.
He could have just gone into business for himself.
Yeah. He could have flexed his creative control and been like, I want to win the Rumble. Like he could have done whatever he wanted to there.
He could have, and I respect John Cena for that because it tells me that his retirement tour is going to be him putting over the younger talent, so that business can continue. He's going to do it the old-fashioned way, the way it should be done. But one thing the reason I was going to chime in originally was I actually really liked the rebuilding of the rival between Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns.
Yeah.
Like that. Like Seth just losing it and like stomping the hell out. He did like a 2-footed stomp on the floor to Roman Reigns, which Roman Reigns sold the hell out of. And Paul Heyman too. Paul Heyman's like, what's wrong with you? Like it was, that was like, it wasn't like a temper tantrum, but he was pissed that he lost, right? And he was like, of all people, it was CM Punk to throw him out. But yeah, I really enjoyed that. I would love to see that Shield, the crack of the Shield, like the feud happen where like they were buddy, they were brothers, and now that I like that. I was happy to see that. And I'm excited that, Punk didn't win only because
I'm happy he didn't win. I predicted it, but I did not want him to. So I was thrilled when he got eliminated.
Yeah, and I feel that Jay winning, like I remember when he kicked John Cena off the apron, the first words out of my mouth were, "Great call. I love it," because he's more than deserving of it. Like he is the most over. I feel he's the most over wrestler right now in all of WWE. I feel that I don't think there's anybody more over than him. I don't think there's anybody that gets a pop as big as he does. I don't think so. And I think he's long overdue. He built that, and I'm excited for him, and I'm happy that it's him. And I'm happy it's not just like a run of the mill, the usuals, John Cena, CM Punk, or Logan Paul. But I just, I'm happy that it's Jey Uso, and I'm excited to see. I think he's going to go after Gunther. That'll be a great build because it's going to be like the prim and proper wrestling again. It's like the Intercontinental title, right? And then it's going to be because Jey Uso beat him for the IC title, and so now he has like, I'm going to come for that title now. And after all these times that Gunther's been putting him down and like pushing him away, he's going to have to accept him. And I like that. So I'm excited for it.
I'm excited for it too. And the funny thing is, like, I don't particularly care for Jey Uso as a wrestler. Like, I'll be totally honest. Like, he's not my favorite wrestler. But when it happened, I was like, it makes sense because it doesn't matter what I like. He's super over with the crowd. I don't necessarily care for his wrestling style, but he's over with the crowd. He's got a great personality. He's good at promos. He's got a good gimmick. I mean, there's different in-ring workers that I just enjoy watching more. I don't particularly enjoy watching his wrestling, but you cannot argue with the fact that this guy's like super over. And
his charisma is through the roof.
His charisma is there. So I'm like, good for him. It was the right call.
I agree.
But yeah, and it was a great way to close out Royal Rumble. It was Men's Rumble, strong match. We'll see how they do the continuation of all the stories too as we head into, now we're getting into WrestleMania season already. Like it's going to be the fast track to Elimination Chamber. So it's the next leg of John Cena's retirement tour.
Quick correction. I found the list of who was eliminated by whom. You were correct.
Joe Hendry was eliminated by Roman Reigns. Yeah, I knew it. Yes. I knew it. I was like, I know I saw that because I was at the time I thought, well, somebody's got to throw you out. Roman Reigns isn't a bad person to get eliminated by. I just wish Joe Hendry had gotten more time.
He didn't eliminate anybody though. But Roman Reigns took out Braun Breaker, Sheamus, The Miz, and Joe Hendry.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then let's see who had the most.
Wasn't it Jacob that had the most?
Jacob had 4. Rey Mysterio, Chad Gable, Jimmy, and Andrade. I think it's like everyone kind of was around 3 or 4. That's pretty much what it was. Yeah. Yeah, because Logan Paul eliminated CM Punk and AJ Styles. And then LA Knight eliminated Damian Priest. Damian Priest eliminated Drew McIntyre and Dominic. Yeah, so, but yeah, I enjoyed the Rumble very much this year. It's my favorite pay-per-view, PLE of the year as well.
Favorite PLE, I thoroughly enjoyed it. It's always fun, good stuff. But yeah, that's what we got for this week. We'll see what happens. They got a lot of story threads to branch off onto as we get back into Raw and SmackDown. I'm guessing we're past the transfer portal window. Like they never officially started it or stopped it. They just said
I think they're just going to leave it open.
So I was like, I guess that period is over. I think everyone's transferred that's supposed to, but we'll find out as we get into this week. And we'll be back next week to recap all of that good stuff. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, everybody. We appreciate the support. Leave us comments, whether you agree, disagree, or just want to talk wrestling. We're always happy to do that as well. So happy post Royal Rumble Sunday, we'll call it that, and we'll see you all next week. Till then, I've been Michael D'Angelo. He's been Big D Daryl Ortiz. Have a wonderful week, everyone. See you soon.